"Pick up your sword, boy!" shouted Master Dallo, a grizzled master of the Akara, known for his crude way with things. "That's sure to wound his pride," Prince Paritas thought. "I am not a boy," Bruin snapped, his voice thick with defiance. "All I see is a milk-fed hog. Da isn't here to bail that lumpin' ass of yours. Or is it the ma whom you want, pup?" There was no mockery in Master Dallo's voice. Bruin lifted his fallen sword from the ground, fuming. "I am not a boy, I'm man enough." He charged at the master, which the latter evaded quite effortlessly with a dancing move. "Anyone who needs to assert that he's man isn't one. Fight like one if you're one," the master bellowed. "If he is a boy, then what are we? Babes," Mirmal whispered to Paritas's ear. It was not an overstatement. Bruin stood almost half a hand taller than them all, his frame twice as broad, not with the soft bulk of idleness, but the dense, corded muscle of relentless discipline. He honed himself through Byam, dawn and dusk, without fail, his body a testament to grueling labor. "Aye, boys and babes, that's all we've got," Master Dallo said acerbically. Mirmal and Paritas exchanged perplexed looks. How did he catch the whisper? Bruin was panting from exhaustion. It was astonishing how the master managed to wear him down so rapidly with so little. The stocky lad muttered something under his breath that Paritas could not hear. Master Dallo began circling around him. Bruin charged again with more force and fury, like a raging bull. The master was not so kind this turn. He advanced, too, like a pouncing tiger, swift and sudden, with his knees bent, sliding on the mud and head lower than the arc of Bruin's blade. It did not matter. The novice was not prepared for it. Before he could take a swing with his sword, a single, precise thrust of Master Dallo's wooden blade halted Bruin mid-lunge, driving the air out his lungs with a pained oof. Rage and strength. The master shook his head. Powerful weapons to those who know how to wield them. The disappointment was plain on his face. "Have some sense, boy." It sounded like a plea, almost. "Swing like the nitwits of tavern brawls, and a bruised rib is the least you'd get." The master began pacing again. "Pay heed to the art of weapons." His blade pointed at the novice. Bruin jutted his jaw. His exhales became sharper. His waster was raised in a defensive stance. He, too, turned to keep pace with the masters circling around him. He looked circumspect, guarded. A flicker of approval crossed Dallo's face, but that was just about it. Another sudden move from the master, and he was holding Bruin's wrist, twisting it. His sword hilt hit hard at Bruin's chin. The novice's blade surrendered to the ground. "A rattled mind loses before the first blow falls," the master said. "You've the makings of a warrior, but it's wasted on a man who let storms brew in his skull. If the clouds gather, let them rain, hold nothing back." The words of Grandmaster Armadid, the master of weapons and Master Dallo's own mentor, echoed in the silence. Bruin staggered, his body throbbing, the weight of the lesson pressing him down like a yoke. He wiped the blood from his split lip, picked up his sword, and steadied himself. His eyes locked onto the master, ravenous, unyielding. The stomach for fight was not gone yet. If anything, the blows and bruises intensified his hunger. "That's it," Master Dallo ruled. "Better rest than shaming yourself more in this risible effort." Bruin's fists clenched, his breath coming in ragged bursts. "I'm not—" "Enough!" Dallo now scolded, the command leaving no room for defiance. "Master your rage, or it will master you." The words were cold, deliberate, a verse from the Yudasastra, wielded like a lash. For a heartbeat, Bruin stood frozen, teeth bared, one hand pressed to his aching ribs. Then, with a snarl, he stepped out of the dueling circle, every movement screaming reluctance. The master's gaze swept over the remaining novices. Next! The crown prince stepped forward. His gaze snapped to the edge of the Akara, where Master Armadid stood in shadowed silence. Paredes did not notice him joining the audience. For many seasons the famed warrior had been the ablest fighter of all Akaras, perhaps the finest one in the whole kingdom. Beating him in a round was almost impossible for even the most skilled apprentices, be that in any discipline. A full season passed before the war. Paredes managed to defeat him once in a session of sword. That lone and fortunate triumph had etched the crown prince's name as a deft swordsman. Such was the repute of Master Armadid. Now the master cut a shadow of his former self. He would be nearly 5 branches old, yes, but it was not just the age. Since the Sumal assault of last winter, where Master Armadid lost both his sons, his health declined rapidly. His limbs lost flesh, his cheeks lost gleam, his eyes went deep into their caves, losing all the sharpness. Now they seemed distant, lost. No one saw the Grand Master fight afterwards. Rumors were that he wanted to give up the Akara, but the king forced him to stay. So he lingered, as a wight would drag along, being more in the other world, waiting for the Yama to claim whatever left of his soul. Master Armadid's presence made things worse for Paredes. It was already quite daunting to fight Master Dallo. The prince felt that the Grand Master was staring at him, judging his every move, every shift of his foot, every twitch of his wrist. There was something grave about the Grand Master, the way he moved like shadow given form, the way his silence cut deeper than any blade. It always had an unsettling effect on Paredes. "What's there to fear him?" Bruin would ask, and Mirmal would laugh with him. "He's like an old lion who has lost the strength and will to hunt." That may be right, but still felt unease around him. "Be damned with your unkind tongue!" Paredes would fight his mates. "It was not so long ago that novices like you trembled before him. So did the masters." Bruin, Mirmal, Teeb, and Chitin would only laugh at that. Master Dallo knew the prince well, all his strength and weaknesses. The master did not press forward with slashes, for Paredes was swift and deft at turning them aside. Instead, the seasoned master tested him with the 16 dancing stances, 13 from the Yudasastra, 3 conceived by a long-dead grandmaster, shifting between them like wind through reeds, waiting for the prince's focus to slip. The dance went on for a few moments. Then the lapse came, a heartbeat's hesitation, a misread feint, and Paredes was on the ground. The next 2 rounds ended lot quicker than the first. A couple of decisive blows landed in quick succession, each a lesson in humility. "You'd need more strength, my prince," Master Dallo said, his voice stripped of sympathy. "You always begin well, but wear off as the fights progress, like a guttering candle." Paredes dipped his chin in acknowledgment. His jaw hardened. Nearly a third of stem now that the Crown Prince and his 3 companions joined the master's Akara. Before, they had endured 3 lesser yards, a couple of stems in each of them. All of those felt unbearable in those moments. But the master's Akara was a crucible. It would test every bone, every ounce of flesh, every bit of resolve in one's mind. Only those who could weather these and grasp the way of weapons would mold into warriors. Many would shatter trying. Graduation from this Akara was not just a prerequisite for soldiers and officers. It was a matter of honor. Those who failed were relegated as watchmen, sellswords, and hired guards. Paridas and his companions had no privilege in the matter. The last Gangan prince to disgrace himself was Lokodas, the king's younger brother, a branch and 3 stems prior. A man once beloved for his charm, now remembered only for his failure. The mockery had been relentless. Then, one son, he vanished. Most assumed shame had driven him away. Paridas understood. Like Lokodas, he had no love for steel or slaughter. The weight of a sword felt unnatural in his hands. The stench of blood turned his stomach. If given the choice, he would have spent his youth crafting, studying anything but this. But choice was a luxury princes did not have. Honor and duty drove them, chained them, broke them. Just like the lesser yards, the master's Akhara was comprised of a barrack for sessions of blades, spears, and maces, an archery range or dhanurshala for arrows and chakras, and a stable for heavy and light Turanga's trainings. In addition, the novices would engage in yudvan, hand-to-hand combats and bayams, which took place mostly at the courtyard of the Akara. The crown prince and his circle were being tested at the barrack. Mirmal's turn came next. The second son of Envoy Cruel did not last long. The boy had his father's shrewdness, but not enough strength. Master Dallo just slashed forward and closed him down in the first round. In the second, a sharp strike to the ankle tripped him. The final round saw him sprawling by a brutal elbow to his face. Chitin fared worse. That prompted Giridaj, the barrel-chested tyrant of a warder who had been lurking at the edges like a vulture, to let out a derisive snort. "This ain't a chalet. We don't keep wenches here," he said to Chitin, a wealthy merchant's boy. Giridaj's voice was a whetstone on flesh. "Should have stuck to your father's trade. Beads and brooches suit you better than steel." Chitin's face reddened. His glare was answer enough. "What's that?" Giridaj snapped. "You want to fight me now?" The merchant's son looked away. It was too late, though. Warden Giridaj was already striding into the circle, his walking stick leveled like a spear. Chitin reclaimed his fallen Vala, but his shoulders slumped. He did not fancy the fight. No one would. Though no Armadid or Dallo, Giridaj was still a master in weaponry, and he fought mean. "Chin up!" chided the warden. Before Chitin could hold his spear properly, a swing of Giridaj's stick cracked against his sidearm. Chitin swung from one side of the circle to another. Laughter rippled through the growing crowd. This was sport to them. "Leave him be!" The command cut through the jeers. Even Giridaj stiffened, turning to face the master of weapons. For a heartbeat, defiance flashed in his eyes, then died. With a curt nod, he stepped back, though not without a final venomous glance at Chitin.